Kid Rock mocked up his Tesla Cybertruck to look like the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard, surprisingly leaving off the Confederate flag that was on the roof of the original car while being driven by Bo Duke himself, MAGA actor John Schneider. While he has always been a darling of the right and a culture vulture, with the rise of Trump and the money that comes along with his fan base, Kid Rock has become one of the main celebrity spokespeople for Trump's agenda.
And by the way, we can do this as well. We don't have a Taylor Swift on our side, but you know who we have? We have Kid Rock, we have Ted Nugent, we have influencers, right? We have all these people, John Voight. We have people that can come out and use their audiences, number one. And I want an army of Scott Presslers at every Kid Rock event and every Ted Nugent event. And I hope, by the way, and I need to talk to those guys about this because I've got this idea that maybe we even ask them, you guys mind doing a little tour later this year? Are you doing anything this fall?
Reported Russian asset Jack Posobiec openly admitted as much while talking directly to the MAGA base, though you can hear the sadness in his voice when he realizes that this is the all-star lineup of celebrities they have to choose from.
Well, you know, I went through this anti-justice system at the hands of Barack Obama. Barack Obama, you punk. You horrible anti-American, communist, Islamic terrorist. Well, that's going to go in the media. That's what he was. He literally reignited racism in America. Thanks a lot, Barack, and your buddy Mike, and your two fake daughters.
That the man that can help this nation, the one man that was ridiculed, destroyed as Jesus, Trump, can come back and save the American dream for all and make America great with the dignity, with the power of who she is. The land of freedom, God's land, God's glory.
Hate speech, thinly veiled white supremacy, Islamophobia, promoting killers, and comparing Trump to Jesus is exactly what the MAGA crowd wants to hear from their champions. Now recall this.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
Kid Rock was one of the first on scene to put his bigotry on full display after Bud Light dared to include a trans influencer in an ad campaign in hopes of increasing sales with a different demographic, something they, and every other company imaginable, has done to some degree. And if you couldn't already tell that this was purely a publicity stunt, capitalizing on the culture war topic of the time.
Celebrate life. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Now, I see you're wearing is that a Budweiser hat? Like, it was a year ago, right, that you famously posted that video of, I think you were shooting some Bud Light cans after the Dylan Mulvaney controversy. So you've lightened up on Bud Light?
This is a cool hat. I don't know. Man, that was just, man, we got, I didn't know what hat I was wearing. We got bigger targets.
You seriously can't make this stuff up. That short 30-second exchange says so much about right-wing politics and how the media works hand in hand with political movements to craft certain narratives, which was also touched on earlier in the interview.
And again, the left feels like they're somehow threatened when other people are having fun and it doesn't involve one of their, pet projects or one of their, whether it's porn, pot, whatever they're into. If you're not agreeing with them politically, you don't deserve to have fun, whether it's at NASCAR or driving a big, pickup truck, or they feel threatened by that. And so this is just one way to feel annoyed or threatened that someone like Trump, with everything they've thrown at him, is still able to have a little fun. Why can't people have fun? I thought they were all about fun.
Dinesh D'Souza's ex-girlfriend is smart enough to know how to frame this segment to appeal to both Kid Rock and the broader Fox audience by positioning conservatives as people who just want to have some fun. Ingram deliberately ignores what conservatives actually find enjoyable, kicking people when they're down, perpetuating played-out stereotypes about marginalized groups, and being contrarians to anything that can be characterized as liberal or progressing society. That's what Ingram means when she's talking about having fun at NASCAR and driving your big pickup truck.
Just being pretty, we're looking at maps. And I'm like, am I supposed to be like in on? I make dirty records sometimes. I'm like, I do it here.
You didn't think you'd have a hand
What
in
do you think we should do about North Korea? I'm like, what? I don't think I'm qualified to answer this.
Kid Rock is also a confidant of Tucker Carlson as well.
I've never seen anybody who wants to win for this country like that guy. And I don't think we'll ever see anything like it in our lifetime. To me, he's the greatest president we've had.
And he's unaffected, in your experience, by everything that's happening.
Oh, is he pissed off? Sure.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem broken at all.
I don't want to speak out of school, but, yeah, who's not going to hem and haw a little bit about the people that are doing this to him? These people in New York. It's a freaking joke.
He was in attendance at UFC 295, making a grand entrance with Trump and the white supremacy Avengers, including the UFC's own Dana White, Tucker Carlson, of course, and Don Jr., who was relegated to the back of the group.
Pencil neck. Adam Schiff.
It's crazy how people still listen to those folks.
What's crazy about that,
wrong
about that election? I'm not a conspiracy guy or whatever, but I'm like, just seems like shenanigans.
I love when anybody says, I'm not a conspiracy guy.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy. I'm a total conspiracy guy.
Kid Rock is back in the news again, and it's not for spreading this absolute garbage on the most popular podcast in the world, but for allegedly waving and pointing a gun at Rolling Stone journalist David Peisner after he got a couple of mixed drinks in him, and even reportedly said what you see on your screen about immigrants and migrants, while also using the N-word multiple times during the interview. And given what we've seen out of Kid Rock's history and who he surrounds himself with, it's hardly unexpected or unreasonable to think the interview happened the way it's being reported, especially given how Robert Ritchie, Rock's real name, reportedly goaded Peisner to write the most horrific article possible because it would eventually help his image, which says all you need to know about who he's trying to appeal to. Ritchie also reportedly called Peisner a college snowflake, and the two apparently got in each other's faces, arguing about Peisner wanting to leave after the interview and Kid Rock trying to convince him to spend the night in his mansion before eventually giving up and letting him leave.
Well, I played golf today with a really good golfer, Tony Romo. Do you know Tony Romo?
The connection with the two is obvious. Recently, Trump and Tony Romo played golf together.
He may be a better golfer than a football player. I don't know.
And for Romo, republicanism is his history.
When you're in the parties, you're going to be talking with some members of Congress, members of the administration, anything you want to talk to them about, any issues, sports related, politics.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about upcoming elections in 2016 and some stuff. I'll have some good questions I think for him, and got to know Scott Walker a little bit, so I'll see. He's from my area back in Wisconsin, so there's a few people I'll be asking about.
Even appearing to give the stamp of approval to Scott Walker. Yuck.
But we played really today. We were talking about the state. We were talking about a lot of things, and we were at a wonderful course very nearby, and we had a tremendous amount of support from the people at that club. I'll tell you, it's amazing. They love this state. They love your governor, your lieutenant governor. They love this country.
Romo, an avid golfer, has been a supporter of Donald Trump's for years now. Prior to the former president's inauguration in 2016, Tony Romo was spotted at Trump's D.C. hotel. And why was Trump in Texas?
This morning, downtown Houston, ground zero of the national debate over guns, as hundreds of demonstrators protested attendees at the NRA's annual meeting.
This is a call to action.
Former President Trump among the top Republican speakers rejecting calls for stronger gun laws in the wake of the mass shooting in Uvalde.
The existence of evil in our world is not a reason to disarm law-abiding citizens. The existence of evil is one of the very best reasons to arm law-abiding citizens.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott remaining in Uvalde, where he was confronted over his response to the shooting.
I know you feel it too. We have to do something, man.
While at nearly the same moment appearing on video at the conference opposing any response that toughens gun laws.
There are thousands of laws on the books across the country that limit the owning or using of firearms. Laws that have not stopped madmen from carrying out evil acts on innocent people.
The NRA conference, of course, you stupid.
And I joined in a community prayer vigil that evening as the entire community was reeling from the shooting. We prayed together and we cried together, mourning the unspeakable losses that have shaken the Uvalde community and that have gripped our entire nation. There are no words to describe a monster who enters a school and murders little children. 19 little kids. 19 families in Uvalde who lost their little boys and their little girls.
Where Texas Senator Rafael Ted Cruz spoke as well.
Citizens, disarm doors for arrival. Cross-check, stand by for all call.
Senator, thank you for everything you've done since Uvalde. Thank you for everything you've done since Uvalde. All those podcast episodes must have raised a lot of money for you.
Just yesterday, I tried to pass the most significant school safety bill that's ever passed.
Why did you vote against the
party
bill?
Objected to it.
You tried to pass it? What work were you doing? How did you have time when you were recording the podcast episodes?
You should ask why the Democrats objected to doubling the number of police officers. You should ask why you don't know how to do your job without referring to other politicians. 15,000 new mental health.
You should fix your tie too in your collar.
Listen to the man.
Let's let him fly in peace. I'm fine. When children can get buried in peace.
These people should not have an ounce of peace when in public for failing those school children. Ever. And here's Romo, not just meeting with, but playing a round of golf with the former pro-insurrectionist president from For the Win. As his hush money trial took the weekend off, the former president hit the golf course with the former Cowboys quarterback and current CBS Sports NFL broadcaster Tony Romo. Romo has been an avid golfer since he retired from the NFL in 2017. He has competed in several tourneys, including in a U.S. Open local qualifier in 2023, and recently, this year, he was invited to play in the Celebrity Classic in April. How many times did Donald Trump cheat in order to try and beat Tony Romo? Because look, man, he has admitted and been found to have lied about his golf game to none other than Tiger Woods. He has cheated with Anthony Anderson. He has cheated with Samuel Jackson. But if you cheat with former pro athletes, let alone arguably one of the greatest golfers ever in Eldrick Tiger Woods, then my question is, how many times did he cheat with Romo right there? Secondly, and I suppose this is just a question for everybody, but Romo specifically, what is your line? Like, we have not just 4 years of a presidency where we have allowed, and not we, but the administration has allowed and enabled white supremacists to be prominent. They have allowed and enabled extremists to feel totally free to conduct themselves how they have. We have seen the rise in the Moms for Liberty type to run and win on school board elections where their kids don't even go. We have seen the rise of conspiracy theories with the Shmuanon movement. Nazis are proud to march. Patriot Front has come about. Like, there's so many, it's hard to keep track. And yet, I ask the Romos of the world and others, what is the line? Where is it where you say, yeah, I can't get behind him anymore? Because you going and playing around with him in this day and age, let alone we haven't heard Tony Romo say, I'm endorsing Donald Trump for president in 2024. It is essentially the go-ahead and the green light to imply that he is doing that. Where is it? What is his line where he'll say, I can't associate with this anymore? Now, they've known each other for years. Romo has gone to the hotels, as I indicated previously, but other events. I am just very curious where we stop saying, yeah, this is a old friend of mine, and the conclusion being the friendship has run its course and he's standing up for things that I cannot support and I can't ever believe in morally. It's also twofold as I'm doing this. The second part is, where is the stick to sports crowd with Tony Romo? Where is the shut up and dribble crowd with Tony Romo? The last time I checked, y'all didn't want your politics in sports, or you didn't want your sports in politics. And yet here we are with Tony Romo, the prominent broadcaster and former Dallas Cowboy, golfing with this man in the state of Texas. I'm just curious. I'm just asking questions. Because according to y'all's perspective and the opinions that we have seen for years now, this isn't allowed by either man. But all I'm seeing is just sheer silence on the matter. What gives? Why the sudden change of heart? I know why. It's because you guys are happy to partake, and it's essentially a do as I say, not as I do. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports, and or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Just before the killings began, that the state government was notified by people within the surrounding communities, as well as by members from the human rights observance organization, the CUNAI, that vehicles carrying groups of heavily armed men were approaching Afeab. The state government's response was that, quote, everything was under control.
If there has been any band that has withstood the test of time,
as long as you have people in the Supreme Court who remain to try to pass their quote-unquote morality over the masses, I think it's wrong. And whether anyone agrees with abortion or not, it's wrong.
it is Rage Against the Machine. They've been rocking since the early 90s, and yet still, many of the problems faced back then are prevalent today.
It is clear that we are once again at a crossroads.
But the challenges that we face, they go way beyond administrations, way beyond elections, way beyond every 4 years of pulling levers, way beyond that. Because this whole rotten system has become so vicious and cruel that in order to sustain itself, it needs to destroy entire countries and profit from their reconstruction in order to survive. And that's not a system that changes every 4 years. It's a system that we have to break down generation after generation after generation.
Bringing attention to the injustices, not just in the United States, but around the world, including but not limited to what the most powerful nation on the planet has done, inciting communities, killing the innocent, all in the name of imperialism. We all know the U.S. and its politicians would prefer to spend our tax dollars on defense contractors. Hell, Tupac Shakur has been telling us this for years. To put in perspective, the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, as of April 2024, wrote of the numbers. The U.S. dwarfs these 9 countries combined. In Rage's song Bulls on Parade, this and much more is addressed. A track that has aged like a fine wine via the lack of progress in U.S. policy. In the opening lines, there's a reference to De La O. In addition, the bars that follow are sure to make the bodies drop. Drop and don't copy, don't call this a co-op. Genevieve De La O, a Mexican revolutionary, fought in the name of the Mexican people, joining and serving as a general in the Liberation Army of the South during the Mexican Revolution. He stood up for the rights of his countrymen, demanding land reform, addressing social injustices, and leading successful militaristic campaigns. The line is essentially saying, get with the program, everybody. Be a De La O or continue to be an accessory to the war regime. And here's how we know. With these 3 lines solidifying it. Quenching the thirst of the power dons, that 5-sided fistagon. What is 5 sides? A pentagon, of course. The line is an ode to the country's thirst for war, represented by what you see on your screen. Prior to the chorus, Zach raps, the rotten sore on the face of Mother Earth gets bigger. The trigger's cold, empty your purse. From Benjamin Castle, it's continued warfare, frequently unprovoked, waged by the world's most powerful nations for gains that amount to finance over all else. In the other part, it's the continued plight of the common people on both sides of such conflicts. Then the chorus, rally around the family with a pocket full of shells, repeated 4 times. It's iconic and full of symbolism. There has been no clear-cut answer, but this is my interpretation. Same folks who believe they are pro-family values, pro-nuclear family per se, pro-life even, are the same ones taking money from defense contractors who design weapons of war to wipe out entire regions of the world in the name of profit. The second verse. Weapons, not food, not homes, not shoes, not need, just feed the war, cannibal animal eye. I thought Paper's Owl put this quite well in their write-up of the song. It remains clear the government prioritizes spending on the military above all else, including its own citizens. They could give a damn about us because they take direct orders from the ultra-wealthy who run not only these companies, but aid their respective political campaigns and careers. Zach would spit, walk the corner to the rubble that used to be a library, line up to the mine cemetery now. Look no further than U.S. defense contractors making and supplying arms that have turned places of learning to decimated territories that are no longer left standing. Rage continues. What we don't know keeps the contracts alive and moving. They don't gotta burn the books, they just remove them. A twofold line. Let's just start with the opener. Keeping the American public in the dark is met with open arms by those who benefit. And that is always, across the board, plain and simple. From the Nazis to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and many others in between, the practice of burning literature or taking them off the shelves is brought to light here. Lastly, while arms warehouses fill as quick as the sales, rally around the family, pocket full of shells. This one is rather easy. We stockpile weapons and continue to clog and take up space in these warehouses the same way the prison industrial complex does in this country. On the title of the song, Jay from Medium has an idea. It reflects this. A bull is an aggressive animal only stopped by force, as are the world's leading governments. These bulls are going on a parade to gain by any means necessary. Meanwhile, guitarist Tom Morello would reflect on the track to Music Radar. Quote, we didn't know it would be the first single when we started jamming on it, but we realized quickly that it was a most potent piece of music. We recorded cassette demos as we wrote and jammed, and Brendan didn't want to lose any energy as we worked. Our method of working was pretty much jam, roll the cassette tape, then cut the real track. Not a lot of time for overthinking and over-tinkering. More from Music Radar and Morello. Evil Empire, their album, reached #1 in the US and #4 in the UK chart. The album was a strong piece of work, said Morello, and I would call Bulls on Parade a real banger. With Timmy's quintessential bass sound booming throughout, it's like the world is exploding. I would also give it up for Brad and his supreme drumming. He shifts on a dime but never loses one iota of power, and Zach's lyrics are so sophisticated and multidimensional. As for myself, I just tried to follow the dots on the guitar neck and get some rockin' sounds. Overall, I think I held up my end.